If you've been here, well, you already know what's happening. And if you haven't, or you're about to, let's talk about it. So if you have a minivan, or maybe you just bought one and it has a sliding door and you think there is a problem with the sliding door or maybe inside of it, well, you might be wondering, why would you have to go to this extent to take the entire door apart, the sliding door that is, in order to fix said problem? Well, there are several things that can go wrong pretty often on these doors. This being a sliding door, it doesn't operate as easily and simply as a regular door. This one just opens and closes on a hinge, well, 2 hinges. This one has rollers on the top and on the bottom and a bunch of different moving parts to make it slide and operate smoothly. It has 6 different cables inside that operate 2 latches and of course 2 door handles. That's typical. So there's a lot more that can go wrong with these doors. Like I said, more moving parts, and that means more chances of things breaking and more maintenance. How do you know that you have to service anything on these sliding doors? Well, starting from the outside, let's start with grinding. If your door feels like it needs to be forcefully opened and closed and it's pretty much grinding on the tracks, yeah, those rollers need some help. Maybe you can't even get to that point because maybe your door is stuck shut because, well, maybe you have a broken cable, maybe you have a broken handle or a broken latch and you just can't open it. So the door being stuck closed is another symptom, or it's stuck open because it won't latch shut because, well, maybe something inside is broken. In that case, it's most likely a door latch that just won't hook onto the striker. But still, if it doesn't close, not only is that unsafe, but it's a problem that needs to be addressed. Or maybe your window doesn't operate like it should. In that case, yeah, that's another symptom that is going to lead you to having to go inside this door panel and fix some things. Now, if you need any of these parts, handles, inner and outer, door cables, window regulator, motor, latch, or even the door lock actuator, we actually sell all of these at oneauto.com, so check us out. Now, as challenging as this job might seem, it is still a DIY-friendly job. So don't be afraid to attempt this because it can definitely save you a lot of money if you do. Now, what makes this job so difficult is actually a combination of multiple things that have to happen in order for you to get inside this door. Starting off with the main outer, I guess inner outer door panel, the one that covers everything basically. To pull this off of the door, the most difficult part is the fact that you can't open the door like a regular door that swings. So you have to work with the door only partially open from in here, and you don't have a lot of space. You also have to fold down your seats here, otherwise there's no way you're gonna crawl over the seats to get this off here. Once you do get this off, which is actually the easier part of the job, well, you're left with this, which actually now it's apart so I can show you, but it's bolted onto the door, this whole panel here, with the door latch assembly. Unbolt the door latch off the back of the door so you can actually get a lot more movement out of the bracket and the door latch assembly, so you can basically move the panel and the assembly together so that you can unlock them a lot easier. If you don't unbolt that door latch, it's gonna be stuck on the door and you can't really move that bracket around much. Because this door is freely moving back and forth, it's very easy for it to latch back shut. Avoid that. Try to keep it unlatched, because if this latch latches in on the back and you're trying to move it around and you have it unbolted, it's not going to move around because it's latched. And you will be fighting that for a long time also, because you're trying to move it, you think it's loose, it's not loose, you don't know what's happening, it's latched. So pull on the cable, unlatch it, open the door, and it'll easily slide out as long as you pry that little tab open. Once you unbolt this, keep in mind you also have the window regulator that's attached to it with the motor coming from the front side, but the regulator's on the back side, so you have to unbolt that, separate the motor, and then that's not the end of it. You have this really nice bracket that they put on here with 3 little tabs and a hook that's locking it all in, and this bracket is attached to the door latch assembly, which is attached to the door on the back side. There's a little tab that you almost can't see if you look at it from the top when you still have it attached to the door. That tab locks that bracket in. Try to pry it with a pick, pry tool, anything you have, pry that bracket out, and then you can slide the panel at the same time as you're still prying to unlock it. that will hold you up for a long time if you don't pry that open and basically release it. And then when it finally comes off, then you can take this out to get to your latch, for example, if that's what you're replacing, which is actually what I'm after. And this right here is the most difficult part of the job, is getting this panel to come off of the door. Once you do have this apart, you can easily get to everything that you have to get to, but getting to it is the hard part. So I also recommend replacing anything that you think might need to be replaced in the future so that you don't have to go through this just because it's a lot to get into this door. Hopefully these tips helped you out. And one last thing I want to leave you with is you just need a lot of patience for this job and persistence. As tempting as it is, don't just forcefully rip things off of there, because if you break anything, not only will it not go back together like it was intended, and it could prevent the proper operation of certain things such as cables or latches, but if things are loose in there, they're gonna rattle every time you drive the van, and that is not fun to hear something inside the door just rattling around every time you go over a bump or even a crack in the road. If you have any other tips, leave them in the comment section below, and that should help other people out. If you've done this job before, I'm sure you know how frustrating it can be. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay up to date with all of our latest content. Thanks for watching. Once you unbolt this, you also have a regular... As always, don't forget to subscribe.